When people talk about the darkest magic in Harry Potter, they usually go straight to the spells. Avada Kedavra kills instantly. Crucio tortures the body until the mind starts to break. Imperio turns a person into a puppet. Fiendfyre destroys almost anything unlucky enough to stand in its path. And then, there's the other kind of magic. Potions, but they don't announce themselves like that. A spell usually gives you a warning. A wand is raised, an incantation is spoken, and a flash of light crosses the room. A potion, on the other hand, does not need to announce itself. It can be hidden in a cup, mixed into food, poured into medicine, or slipped into candy. By the time the victim realizes something is wrong, the magic may already be inside them. Sometimes they never realize anything is wrong at all, and that is what makes potions so unsettling. In this video, we're not looking at the most useful potions or the ones students would want to brew for exams. We're looking at the ones that should have terrified the wizarding world a lot more than they did. These are the most disturbing potions in Harry Potter. Starting at number 10, we have one that seems almost harmless at first. Swelling solution. Compared to some of the potions we're going to discuss later, swelling solution may not sound that horrifying. It does not steal someone's identity. It does not force them to tell the truth. It does not trap them in a death-like sleep or rebuild the body of a dark wizard in a graveyard. On the surface, it sounds like the kind of potion Hogwarts students would laugh about, and that is exactly why it belongs here. Swelling solution is a potion that causes body parts to expand unnaturally. In the wizarding world, it is treated almost like a classroom hazard, something that can go wrong during a lesson, something that can make students look ridiculous for a while before the problem is fixed. But when you actually think about what the potion does, it becomes much more disturbing. This is a substance that physically changes the human body on contact. In Chamber of Secrets, we see how dangerous it can be when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are in potions class with the Slytherins. Hermione causes a distraction by making a cauldron explode, and the swelling solution splashes over several students. The result is chaos. Students suddenly develop enormous noses, oversized lips, swollen arms, and distorted body parts. The scene is played with a bit of comedy, but the effect itself is not harmless. It is body mutation. Temporary, yes, but still mutation. And this is where the potion becomes unsettling. The only reason the swelling solution seems funny is because it usually affects visible, non-lethal areas of the body. A swollen nose looks ridiculous, swollen lips are embarrassing, and a swollen arm might be painful but survivable. But what happens if the potion affects someone's throat? What happens if their tongue swells? And what happens if it reaches the eyes, lungs, or airway? Suddenly, this classroom accident stops being funny. Suddenly, this beginner potion starts looking like something that could suffocate a student if it landed in the wrong place. That is the disturbing thing about potions in Harry Potter. A lot of them are treated casually because Hogwarts students are around them all the time. They brew them in class, spill them, use them to sabotage each other through pranks, shortcuts, and experiments. But the actual effects are extreme. Swelling solution is not just a potion that makes something bigger. It is a potion that interferes with the body's natural shape. It forces flesh to expand beyond its normal limits. And while the wizarding world has a counter potion, the deflating draft, that does not erase the danger. It just means they have a way to clean up the damage after it happens. Even the ingredients make the potion feel unpleasantly physical. Dried nettles, pufferfish eyes, and bat spleens. This is not some elegant magical drink. It is a cauldron full of strange biological material that produces a direct effect on living tissue. And remember, this is not some forbidden potion locked away in the Department of Mysteries. This is taught to children. That tells you a lot about how normalized danger is at Hogwarts. So, while Swelling Solution may be the least disturbing potion on this list, it is the perfect place to begin. Because it introduces one of the biggest themes of potion making in the series. The danger is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is just sitting in a cauldron, waiting for someone to spill it. And with that, we move from a potion that mutates the body by accident to one that heals the body in one of the most uncomfortable ways imaginable. Next up is number 9, Skele-Gro. Not every disturbing potion in Harry Potter is evil. Some of them are disturbing because they work exactly as intended. And Skele-Gro is one of the clearest examples of that. On paper, it is a medical potion. It is not created to torture anyone, control anyone, or deceive anyone. Its purpose is simple: regrow missing bones. In the wizarding world, that sounds useful, even life-saving. If a bone is broken, damaged, or completely removed, Skele-Gro can force the body to rebuild what was lost. But the moment you think about what that actually means, it becomes deeply uncomfortable. Because Skele-Gro does not just heal in the clean, gentle way people usually imagine healing. It neither waves away the injury nor makes the pain disappear. Instead, it pushes the body through the process of growing bones again from nothing. And that is why it belongs on this list. We see this most clearly in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, after Harry is injured during a Quidditch match. His arm is broken, which is painful enough already. But then Gilderoy Lockhart, trying to show off, attempts to fix it with magic and accidentally removes the bones from Harry's arm entirely. That detail alone is already horrifying. Harry does not just have a broken arm. His arm becomes limp, boneless, and useless. It is neither bleeding nor visibly destroyed, but it has been turned into something physically wrong in a way that feels almost worse than a normal injury. And then comes Skele-Gro. Madame Pomfrey gives Harry the potion so his missing bones can grow back overnight. It works, but it is not pleasant. Harry has to lie there while his bones slowly return inside his arm. The process is painful, uncomfortable, and strange. And that is the real horror of it. Skele-Gro is successful, but success still means hours of the body rebuilding hard internal structure from scratch. That is not ordinary healing. That is forced biological reconstruction. And this tells us something important about magical medicine in Harry Potter. The wizarding world can fix injuries that would be catastrophic in the Muggle world. Broken bones, missing bones, serious wounds, blood loss, and curses. All of these can sometimes be treated with spells or potions. But that does not mean the treatment is easy. It does not mean it is painless, and it definitely does not mean it feels natural. Skele-Gro is disturbing because it shows how aggressive magical healing can be. It saves the patient, but it does so by making the body perform something extreme. Bone growth is not supposed to happen overnight. The human body is not designed to rebuild an entire skeletal structure in a few hours, but magic forces it to happen anyway. And there is also something unsettling about how casually this is handled. Madame Pomfrey is competent, and Harry is safe under her care, but the situation itself is insane. A student's bones have been completely removed from his arm because a teacher wanted to impress people. Then, the solution is to give him a potion and let him suffer through the repair process until morning. In almost any other world, this would be a medical emergency of the highest level. At Hogwarts, it is just another night in the hospital wing, so Skele-Gro earns its place not because it is dark magic, but because it proves that even healing potions can be horrifying. It is medicine, yes, but it is medicine that makes you feel every inch of your body becoming whole again. And from a potion that rebuilds the body through pain, we move to one that keeps the mind awake inside a curse. Next up is number 8, Wolfsbane Potion. Wolfsbane Potion is disturbing for a different reason. It is not disturbing because it is cruel. It is not disturbing because someone secretly uses it to manipulate another person. In fact, Wolfsbane is one of the more compassionate potions in the series. It exists to help people who are suffering from one of the most feared magical conditions in the wizarding world, lycanthropy. But that is exactly where the horror begins. Because Wolfsbane does not cure a werewolf. It does not stop the transformation, does not remove the curse, and does not give the person their normal life back. All it really does is allow the werewolf to keep their human mind while the body still changes. And when you think about that carefully, it is deeply unsettling. Remus Lupin is the best example of this. In Prisoner of Azkaban, Snape brews Wolfsbane Potion for him during his time as defense against the dark arts professor. The potion allows Lupin to remain mentally aware during the full moon, meaning he does not become the same uncontrolled danger he would be without it. That sounds like a miracle, and in many ways, it is. For someone like Lupin, Wolfsbane means the difference between isolation and the possibility of living somewhat normally around other people. It means he can teach, he can work, and he can live with less fear of hurting someone. But the potion's limitation is what makes it so disturbing. His body is still taken from him, and he still becomes a werewolf. The bones, muscles, face, teeth, instincts, and physical shape still change. The only difference is that his mind remains present enough to control himself. So Wolfsbane does not free him from the monster. It leaves him conscious inside it. That is a very different kind of horror from a killing curse or a torture curse. This is not a sudden attack. This is a monthly condition, a scheduled loss of control, a curse that comes back again and again, whether the person deserves it or not. And the potion itself comes with pressure. It has to be brewed correctly, and it has to be taken at the right time. It requires rare skill, and not every witch or wizard can make it properly. That means a werewolf's safety can depend entirely on access. Access to ingredients, access to money, access to someone talented enough to brew it, and access to a society that does not already hate them. That last part matters. The wizarding world treats werewolves with fear and suspicion. Lupin struggles to find work because of his condition. So even when a potion exists that can help, the people who need it most may still be pushed away, unemployed, poor, or unable to get it consistently. And if they miss it, the danger returns. That makes Wolfsbane tragic as much as disturbing. It shows that magic can manage suffering without truly ending it. It can make the curse safer for everyone nearby, but it cannot erase what the person has to endure. There is also something quietly cruel about Lupin, depending on Snape for it. Snape is skilled enough to brew the potion, but he also deeply dislikes Lupin. So Lupin's safety rests, at least for a time, in the hands of someone who resents him. That adds another layer of discomfort to an already painful situation. Wolfsbane Potion earns its place because it reveals the horror of being trapped between human awareness and monstrous transformation. It gives control, but not freedom. And from a potion that keeps the human mind awake inside a curse, we move to one that lets someone steal another person's face completely. Next up is number 7, Polyjuice Potion. If Wolfsbane is disturbing because it traps a human mind inside a changed body, Polyjuice Potion is disturbing because it lets someone borrow a body that was never theirs. And honestly, this might be one of the most unsettling potions in the entire series when you stop treating it like a clever disguise. Polyjuice Potion allows the drinker to physically transform into another person for a limited time. Not just slightly resemble them or create an illusion. The drinker actually takes on their appearance, their face, their body, their hair, their height, and their general physical form. That sounds useful in a spy mission, but outside of that context, it is terrifying. Because polyjuice is basically identity theft in liquid form. We first see it used seriously in Chamber of Secrets, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione brew it so they can sneak into the Slytherin common room. The plan is clever, but even there, the potion already shows how dangerous it can be. They need a piece of the person they are transforming into, usually hair. That detail alone is disturbing. Someone does not need your permission to become you. They just need access to part of your body. And Hermione's mistake makes the danger even clearer. She accidentally uses cat hair instead of human hair, and the transformation goes horribly wrong. Instead of becoming another student, she turns partially into a cat and has to recover in the hospital wing. That tells us polyjuice is not just complicated. It is risky, unstable, and extremely unforgiving if brewed or used incorrectly. But the real horror of polyjuice is not the accident. It is when it works perfectly. Barty Crouch Jr. uses polyjuice potion to impersonate Mad-Eye Moody for almost an entire school year. Think about how insane that is. He fools Dumbledore, the staff, and almost everyone around him. That is what makes this potion so dangerous. It can bypass trust, reputation, and security. If someone looks like the person you trust, sounds close enough, and knows enough details, how would you know? Polyjuice potion does not give the drinker the victim's memories or personality, which is important. It has limits. The impersonator still has to act convincingly. They still need information and planning. But as Barty Crouch Jr. proves, a skilled person can cover those gaps with preparation. And once that happens, the entire idea of identity becomes unstable. This potion could be used to steal money, enter private spaces, frame innocent people, manipulate relationships, escape punishment, or infiltrate powerful institutions. It turns the human body into a costume. And in the wizarding world, where access to certain places often depends on recognition, polyjuice is not just useful. It is a security nightmare. Even when the heroes use it, the potion remains disturbing. During the Seven Potters plan, multiple people transform into Harry to confuse the Death Eaters. It is brave and strategic, but also deeply strange. Harry has to watch other people wear his body, copy his appearance, and become targets because they look like him. So polyjuice potion earns its place because it attacks something very personal. The certainty that your body belongs only to you. And from a potion that steals your face, we move to one that steals your silence. Next up is number 6, Veritaserum. Truth sounds like a good thing. That is why Veritaserum is so uncomfortable. At first, it seems like one of the most useful potions in the wizarding world. A truth serum, a way to get answers, a way to expose lies, uncover secrets, and force criminals to confess. In theory, Veritaserum sounds like something the Ministry of Magic would want to use constantly. But the more you think about it, the more disturbing it becomes. Because Veritaserum does not simply reveal the truth, it removes the choice to stay silent. That is what makes it so dangerous. The potion forces the drinker to answer questions honestly, stripping away their ability to protect private information. It does not need violence. It does not need torture. And it does not even need the victim to be physically restrained once the potion is already inside them. A few drops can turn someone's own mouth against them. And unlike a curse, Veritaserum is terrifying because it can be hidden so easily. It is described as colorless, odorless, and tasteless. That means it could be slipped into water, tea, pumpkin juice, medicine, or almost anything else without the victim realizing. There is no flash of light, no raised wand, no warning. Just a drink. Then the questions begin. We see how serious it is when Snape threatens Harry with it. Snape does not need to hurt him to make the threat frightening. The idea alone is enough, because Veritaserum represents a very specific kind of violation. It does not break bones or burn skin. It breaks privacy. It turns memory, guilt, fear, and personal secrets into something another person can extract. It is also used after Barty Crouch Jr. is exposed in Goblet of Fire. After he has spent months disguised as Mad-Eye Moody using Polyjuice Potion, Veritaserum is used to make him explain what really happened. In that case, the potion helps reveal the truth behind a horrifying deception. It gives answers. It exposes a Death Eater, and it explains how Voldemort's plan unfolded. So yes, Veritaserum can be useful, but useful does not mean harmless. That is the uncomfortable part. A potion can serve justice in one scene and still be morally terrifying in another. Because once a society accepts forced truth as a tool, the question becomes, who gets to decide when it is allowed? The Ministry regulates it, which tells us even the wizarding world understands how dangerous it is. It is not treated like an ordinary classroom potion, but it also has limits. Skilled witches and wizards may be able to resist it, antidotes exist, and the drinker may only say what they believe to be true, not necessarily the objective truth. So Veritaserum is not a perfect legal solution, but that almost makes it more interesting. It is powerful enough to violate someone's privacy, but not perfect enough to guarantee justice. That means it has all the ethical problems of forced confession, while still carrying the risk of incomplete or misleading answers. And from a potion that steals your silence, we move to one that bends luck itself. Next up is number 5, Felix Felicis. Some potions are disturbing because they obviously look dangerous, but Felix Felicis is the opposite. It looks golden and sounds exciting. It is called Liquid Luck, which might be one of the most tempting names any potion could possibly have. And compared to things like Veritaserum or Polyjuice Potion, it does not immediately sound immoral. It does not force someone to confess. It does not steal another person's face. And it does not mutate the body or trap the mind inside a curse. It simply makes you lucky, and that is exactly why it becomes so dangerous. Felix Felicis gives the drinker a temporary period where everything they attempt seems to go right. Their timing improves, their instincts sharpen, and their decisions lead them exactly where they need to be. Doors open at the right moment. Conversations happen in the right order. And people say the right things. The drinker moves through the world as if probability itself has quietly stepped aside. We see this most clearly in Half-Blood Prince, when Harry wins a small bottle of Felix Felicis in Slughorn's class. Later, he uses it to get Slughorn's memory, the missing piece Dumbledore needs to understand Voldemort's Horcruxes. Harry does not use force. He does not trick Slughorn in a complicated way. He simply drinks the potion and follows his instincts. And somehow, every strange choice works. He goes to Hagrid's hut, and Slughorn happens to be there. Aragog's death becomes an emotional opening. Slughorn drinks, softens, talks, and eventually gives Harry the memory. From Harry's point of view, it feels like luck. From the outside, it almost looks like fate being guided by a bottle. That is where Felix Felicis becomes unsettling. Because if a potion can influence the outcome of your actions, then how much of the result belongs to you? Did Harry make the right choices, or did the potion push him toward them? And did Slughorn reveal the memory because Harry handled the moment well, or because Felix Felicis arranged the situation in Harry's favor? The answer is probably somewhere in the middle, which makes it even more interesting. The potion does not seem to control people like Imperio, and it does not remove free will completely, but it does tilt the world around the drinker. and that has enormous consequences. Imagine Felix Felicis in politics, business, courtrooms, gambling, romance, and in war. A potion that makes everything go right, even temporarily, would be one of the most valuable substances in the wizarding world. It could create unfair advantages in almost every area of life. That is why it is banned in organized competitions, exams, and sporting events. The wizarding world knows it is not just a confidence booster, it is cheating on reality itself. And it is not safe to abuse. Felix Felicis is difficult to brew, takes a long time to make, and can be toxic in large quantities. Overuse can also make the drinker reckless, because if everything keeps going right, they may start believing they cannot fail. That may be the most dangerous part of all. Felix Felicis does not just change your luck, it changes how much you trust your own judgment. It makes the risk feel reasonable, makes bad ideas feel inspired, and makes the impossible feel scheduled. So while it may be one of the most desirable potions in Harry Potter, it is also one of the most disturbing. Because it does not just bend fate, it bottles it. And from a potion that bends luck itself, we move to one that imitates death in the quietest way possible. Next up is number 4, the Draught of Living Death. There is something especially disturbing about a potion that does not need to wound you to make you helpless. The Draught of Living Death is not loud. It does not explode. It does not transform someone into another creature. And it does not force them to confess secrets or manipulate their emotions. It simply makes them sleep, but not ordinary sleep. The Draught of Living Death places the drinker into a deep, death-like slumber, so powerful that the person can appear almost dead. And that idea alone is enough to make it one of the most unsettling potions in the wizarding world. Because sleep is supposed to be safe and natural. It is the body resting, recovering, and shutting down for a while. But this potion takes that normal human state and pushes it into something much darker. It creates stillness so complete that the line between sleep, coma, and death becomes dangerously thin. We first hear about it very early in the series, during Snape's first potions lesson. He asks Harry what he would get if he added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood. The answer is the Draught of Living Death. Right away, the name sounds dramatic, but it is also strangely accurate. This is not just a sleeping potion. This is sleep that imitates death. Later, in Half-Blood Prince, Harry brews it successfully in Slughorn's class by following the handwritten notes in the Half-Blood Prince's old textbook. That scene shows how advanced and delicate the potion is. It is not something a careless student should be able to make easily. The preparation matters, the ingredients matter, even the way the soporiferous bean is handled can change the result, and that is part of what makes it disturbing. A potion this powerful depends on precision. Brew it correctly, and it creates an extremely deep sleep. Brew it incorrectly, and the result could be unpredictable. Too weak, and maybe it fails. Too strong, and maybe the person never wakes up at all. The series does not explore every possible misuse, but it does not need to. The implication is already there. This potion could be abused in terrifying ways. A person under the Draught of Living Death cannot argue, run, call for help, or defend themselves. There is no duel, no struggle, no visible attack. Someone could be removed from a room, hidden away, transported, imprisoned, or made to look dead without any obvious sign of violence. That is why this potion feels more sinister than a normal sleeping draught. It does not just make someone tired. It erases their ability to participate in the world. And the ingredients only add to the atmosphere. Powdered root of asphodel, infusion of wormwood, soporiferous bean, and sloth brain. Even the names feel like they belong to something old, clinical, and slightly funereal. This is not a bright, cheerful potion. It feels like something brewed at the edge of life and death. The draught of living death earns its place because its horror is quiet. It does not destroy the body. It simply turns a living person into something still enough to be mistaken for gone. And from a potion that imitates death, we move to one that imitates love while destroying consent. Next up is number 3, Amortentia and love potions. By the time we reach Amortentia, the disturbing part is not hidden anymore. It is right there in the name, love potion. That phrase sounds soft, almost romantic, like something from a joke shop or a teenage prank, and that is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because in Harry Potter, love potions are often presented with a strange level of casualness. Students talk about them, shops sell them, and people laugh at the effects. But when you strip away the comedy, love potions are some of the darkest substances in the wizarding world. Amortentia is the most powerful love potion known. It is introduced in Half-Blood Prince during Horace Slughorn's potions class, and even before anyone drinks it, the potion is described as unusual. It has a mother-of-pearl sheen. Its steam rises in spirals, and most famously, it smells different to every person, depending on what attracts them. To Harry, it smells like things he cannot immediately place, including a flowery scent he will later connect to Ginny. To Hermione, it smells like freshly mown grass, new parchment, and something she does not finish saying. That detail is important because Amortentia does not just affect the body, it reaches into desire, memory, attraction, and emotional association. But Slughorn makes one thing very clear. Amortentia does not create real love, it creates obsession. And that difference is everything. Real love involves choice. It involves understanding, trust, time, and consent. Amortentia bypasses all of that. It manufactures emotional fixation. It makes someone believe they are intensely drawn to another person, even if that attraction was never truly theirs. That is why this potion is so disturbing, as it hijacks the drinker's emotional judgment. We see a smaller, but still serious example with Ron Weasley. Romilda Vane tries to give Harry chocolates spiked with love potion, but Ron eats them instead. The result is immediate and extreme. Ron becomes obsessed with Romilda, a girl he barely knows. He talks about her dreamily, loses normal judgment, and behaves as if his own feelings have been replaced. And what makes it worse is that the chocolates had been sitting around for some time, which likely made the potion stronger. Love potions can intensify with age, meaning something intended as a childish trick can become medically dangerous very quickly. Ron's case is played partly for comedy, but it leads directly into something much darker. After Slughorn treats him for the love potion, Ron is then poisoned by mead meant for Dumbledore. The whole sequence shows how quickly funny potion misuse can turn into a life-threatening situation. But the darkest shadow over love potions is Merope Gaunt and Tom Riddle Sr. Dumbledore strongly suggests that Merope may have used a love potion or similar enchantment to make Tom Riddle Sr. stay with her. Eventually, she stops giving it to him, possibly hoping he had truly fallen in love with her. But once the enchantment is gone, he leaves. Their son becomes Tom Marvolo Riddle, also known as Lord Voldemort. That does not mean a child conceived under a love potion is automatically evil, but symbolically, it matters. Voldemort's origin is connected to a relationship built without real consent, without real love, and without emotional truth. The most loveless villain in the series is born from a false version of love. To put it simply, Amortentia is obsession with better branding. And from a potion that imitates love while destroying consent, we move to one designed by Voldemort himself to break the mind before the body. Next up is number 2, the Drink of Despair, Emerald Potion. At number 2, we reach a potion that feels less like something brewed for use and more like something designed by a sadist. The Drink of Despair, also known as the Emerald Potion, is one of the darkest magical substances connected to Voldemort's Horcruxes. It appears in Half-Blood Prince, inside the cave where Voldemort hides Salazar Slytherin's locket. And everything about the setup tells you exactly what kind of mind created it. This potion is not sitting in an ordinary bottle. It is held inside a stone basin, placed on an island in the middle of a dark, underground lake. The lake is filled with Fiendfyre, dead bodies enchanted to attack anyone who disturbs the water. The locket is inside the basin, submerged beneath the glowing green potion. So before anyone even drinks it, the entire environment already feels like a trap built around fear, death, and punishment, but the potion itself is the real horror. Dumbledore quickly realizes that the liquid cannot simply be vanished, scooped away, transfigured, or bypassed. It has been magically protected so that the only way to reach the Horcrux is for someone to drink it. That detail is important because it means the potion is not just a lock. It is a lock that requires suffering. Voldemort could have hidden the locket anywhere. He could have protected it with curses, monsters, illusions, or magical barriers. Instead, he creates a defense that forces a living person to poison themselves mentally and physically in order to continue. That tells you, this potion is not only about protection, it is about humiliation, control, and about making the intruder pay for every inch of progress. When Dumbledore drinks it, the effect is immediate and horrifying. He becomes weaker with every cup. He trembles, pleads, and experiences what appears to be intense fear, pain, regret, and psychological torment. The potion does not just damage the body. It appears to drag the mind into its worst memories or deepest emotional wounds. That is what makes it so disturbing. A normal poison tries to kill you. The Drink of Despair seems designed to break you before it kills you. And Harry has to stand there and keep giving it to him because Dumbledore ordered him not to stop. That adds another layer of cruelty. The potion does not only torture the drinker, it also tortures the person helping them. Harry is forced into the role of witness and participant, pouring cup after cup while someone he trusts is begging in agony. Then comes the thirst. After the potion is gone, Dumbledore becomes desperate for water, but Harry's attempts to give him conjured water fail, forcing him to take water from the lake. And that is exactly what triggers the Fiendfyre. The potion is part of a larger trap. It weakens the victim, causes unbearable thirst, and pushes them toward the one source of water that activates the dead bodies surrounding them. That is not just security, that is layered cruelty. There is also another disturbing fact. Voldemort had used this cave before. He brought children there when he was still Tom Riddle, a boy from the orphanage, and later returned to hide a piece of his soul. The potion reflects him perfectly. It is secretive, theatrical, punishing, and built around the suffering of others. And from a potion that breaks the mind to protect a piece of Voldemort's soul, we move to the ritual that gives Voldemort his body back. Next up is number 1, Voldemort's regeneration potion. And finally, at number 1, we have the most disturbing potion-related moment in the entire Harry Potter series. Not because it is the most commonly used, not because it is taught in school, and not because ordinary witches and wizards could casually brew it if they had the right ingredients. It takes the top spot because it combines almost every disturbing idea we have talked about so far. The the body, blood, consent, death, identity, pain, and dark magic, all in one ritual. This is not just a potion. This is a resurrection treated like a crime scene. Voldemort's regeneration potion appears in Goblet of Fire after Harry is transported to the graveyard at the end of the Triwizard Tournament. Cedric Diggory is murdered almost immediately, and Harry is tied to a gravestone while Wormtail prepares the ritual that will restore Voldemort's body. At this point, Voldemort is not fully human. He exists in a weak, unnatural form, small, fragile, and horrifying. He has survived, but barely. He is not alive in the normal sense, and he is not dead either. He is something in between, kept alive through dark magic, possession, and unnatural methods. And then, the cauldron begins. This is what makes the scene so disturbing. The ritual uses ingredients that are not just magical, but symbolic. First comes the bone of the father, unknowingly given. Wormtail takes bone from the grave of Tom Riddle Sr., Voldemort's Muggle father. This is already grotesque because it turns a grave into an ingredient source. Voldemort hated his father, rejected his family, and despised his Muggle bloodline, yet he still uses that bloodline to rebuild himself. Then comes the flesh of the servant, willingly sacrificed. Wormtail cuts off his own hand and drops it into the cauldron. This is loyalty turned into mutilation. Voldemort's servant does not simply obey him, he literally gives part of his body to bring him back. And finally, there is the blood of the enemy, forcibly taken. Harry's blood is taken against his will and added to the potion. Voldemort specifically wants Harry's blood because Harry's mother's protection lives in him. By using it, Voldemort believes he can bypass the magical protection that once destroyed him. That is why this ritual is so much more disturbing than ordinary healing. Healing restores what belongs to you. This ritual steals from the dead, the loyal, and the unwilling. It uses a father's bone, a servant's flesh, and an enemy's blood to manufacture a body. And when Voldemort rises from the cauldron, the result is not a miracle. It is a violation made physical. His body is pale, snake-like, unnatural, and reborn through suffering. The potion does not simply bring him back. It announces that death, family, loyalty, and blood can all be twisted into tools if the wizard is cruel enough. That is why this belongs at number 1. Polyjuice steals identity, Veritaserum steals silence, Amortentia steals consent, and the drink of despair breaks the mind. But Voldemort's regeneration potion steals from everything at once. It steals blood, ancestry, flesh, and death itself. From here, the bigger point becomes clear. Potions are dangerous because they often hide behind ordinary purposes. The scariest magic is not always the curse flying across the room. Sometimes it is the bottle already in someone's hand, the drink already swallowed, or the effect already beginning before anyone realizes what has been done. So which potion do you think is the most disturbing? Comment your ranking below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more dark corners of Harry Potter magic explained.